Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of our weekly MMA talk show called Chokes and Eye Pokes. I'm your host Vern. I'm joined as always by my co-host Jack. Jack, another week, another event. How's everything going?
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. I can't complain. And your side?
Yeah, not too bad.
It's very
not
hot
too
here.
bad. Yeah, weather's getting a little bit better, but it's still a little bit uncomfortable on this side. So otherwise, everything good. I'm happy that there's going to be like 11 weeks of events in a row, so it's going to be a good time for us MMA fans, UFC fans in particular.
Yeah. Big weekend ahead.
Yeah, I'm quite interested in this card. Like, we cover the fight nights and everything, but like this card's got a couple of good matchups, a couple of weird matchups as well. But I think I'm liking the main event on this card. The UFC fight night happening this weekend at the Apex as always. Dolidze versus Imavov. I looked at the order on two different sites on this. So sometimes I just Google it and then it pops up with the list. And there was a specific order, but then I went on the UFC site and they had a different order. So what order have you got? What's the first fight on your card?
I believe it's the two Americans. I'm forgetting their name now. But let me just double check. I have Gilbert Urbina versus versus Charles.
Okay. So that's the one I've got as well. This is at welterweight. So we've got Urbina versus Radtke. Urbina 7-3-0, he's 3-2 in his last 5, 1-1 in the UFC. Charles is 8-3-0. He's won his last 5 fights, but only one of those, which is obviously his last fight, was in the UFC. What you saying for this one? What do you make of this fight?
I'm quite interested. I think they're both relatively untested, especially Charles. My immediate reaction is to go for Gilbert, just because I think he has more weapons to win this. But yeah, I think, if I'm honest, that's probably just from not seeing that much tape on Charles. What do you think?
Have you got the odds there? Because I didn't write the odds down for the first 2 fights, but I think Urbina's a favorite, right?
I couldn't find odds for this one. Only for the next couple. Yeah, this one.
Oh, right, that's right. There weren't odds for this at all. It'll be quite interesting to see what the odds are. I mean, yeah, look, I think Urbina, obviously, having fought in the UFC, he's got his 2 fights in the UFC, even though he lost one and won one, he's a little bit more proven, I think. I don't know. Look, Charles has had a 5-fight win streak, or actually more. He's won his last 5. But he wasn't too impressive in his last fight. His UFC debut, even though he did win. But he did get the job done, so... You know, people can say people don't look impressive, but as long as they get the job done, that's all that really counts. All I know is that this is probably going to be a brawl. So it's going to be a very fun, entertaining start to the card. I'm just going to say, just because Gilbert for me is a little bit more proven, there's very little in this. You know, their records are similar, and yeah, I know their fighting style is not 100% the same, but I think it's going to be a brawl. And because Gilbert's a little bit more proven, I'm just going to get straight into the result. I'm going to go TKO round 2 for Gilbert.
Okay, nice. I'm going to go submission 3rd round, actually. I do agree it's going to be a brawl, and I'm now questioning if I should do 2nd. Just 'cause I'm not sure if they can last, but I'm going to stick to my guns.
Who you got winning, Gilbert or Charles?
Gilbert, yeah.
Gilbert as well. Okay, cool. So both of us have got Gilbert in this one. I'm going 2nd round TKO. Jack's going 3rd round submission. You said. Did you change it to 2nd?
Yes. No, I'm gonna keep it a 3rd. Yeah.
Okay. Then we've got Aliaskhab, Khizriev, and
that's a hard one.
Yeah, Makhmud, Muradov. Khizriev. These letters after each other are so hard to pronounce. Khizriev 14-0-0. He's unbeaten, of course. He's had his last fight was in the UFC, which he won. Makhmud, he's 3-2 in his last 5, 26-8-0. And yeah, this is a bit of an interesting one just because it's experience versus an unbeaten record. So what do you think about this fight?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether or not to trust the hype around Khizriev. I'm maybe leaning more towards it just because, like, his grappling in his debut was really, really good. And he's from Russia, so automatically that makes me believe in his grappling.
Oh no, wait, sorry, Muradov Kazakhstan, eh?
Uzbekistan,
sorry.
Yeah. But I think Khizriev more, just because it's very. I'm not sure how it plays out, but to me, he's edging it out for some reason. It's hard to pinpoint down.
Look, the odds on this one is Khizriev's minus 192. Makhmud's got plus 160, so Khizriev is quite a good favorite here. So Khizriev, like you said, is very well rounded. Is very good grappling, of course, obviously. Makhmud definitely probably has a power advantage in this one. Showed a lot of promise until he sort of had those, until he had those back-to-back losses, and he lost a lot of his shine, unfortunately. And in those losses, he did struggle in the grappling aspect. So I think he's he's very powerful, so he always has that chance to keep it standing and knock out Khizriev possibly. But I think it's obviously going to go to the ground, I feel. And because Khizriev's got better grappling for me, and Makhmud struggled with his grappling, I'm going to go round 2 submission for Khizriev. I know he's newish in the UFC, but he's shown a lot of promise and a lot of good grappling. So I think that's going to be the deciding factor here. What you saying?
Yeah, I'm with both of these fighters. I think they're quite evenly matched. I do agree with you stylistically that Khizriev, if he gets a hold of, actually the very hard names to remember.
Yeah, just say Makhmud and Khizriev. Those are that's how I've got them.
Yeah, Makhmud, if he gets hold of him, I do think it will be kind of game over. But I do think Makhmud will hopefully prepare for that. So I think it's gonna be like a bit of a cat and mouse, and I'm kind of gonna say Khizriev decision, unanimous. I think that's I'm gonna go with decision.
Okay. So I've got a round 2 submission for Khizriev. You've got decision for Khizriev. All right. So the next bout is at flyweight. We've got number 7 ranked Viviane Araújo versus number 9 ranked Natália Silva. Araújo is a plus 270 underdog. Natália Silva a minus 340 favorite. Quite a heavy favorite in this one. Araújo is 12-5-0. She's 2-3 in her last 5. Silva has won her last 10, and she's 16-5-1. What are you saying for this one?
It's actually quite a hard one. I first want to say that those odds are a bit brutal. I wouldn't say that it's such as big a favorite as that. I think the people or the matchmakers, the bookies, they're just looking at that record. Yeah. Like, it's an impressive record, and momentum, we always say, does it plays a big role, but Viviane is still a beast. So I'm leaning more towards Viviane. I think she's got a lot of tools. I also think she's got the right experience to get this done and to stop maybe a hype train. But at the same time, I'm not that confident in that. I do think it's going to be a wall. I don't think it's going to be a steamroll.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I don't think Silva's been truly tested. And it's kind of she kind of reminds me of Abus, when Abus came into UFC and he lost to Strickland. He had that massive undefeated run. I mean, even Hector Lombard years back lost to, I think it was Tim Walsh, I forget the name, but it was like a mid-carder that he lost to, and he had a 26-fight win streak or something crazy, and he still lost. It's just a different level. Yeah. I also think Araújo is a little bit like a Neil Magny of the women's flyweight division. So, it could be very stop-start, but for a couple of reasons, because she's tough to put away, but also she hasn't ever been finished in the UFC. I don't know. I do agree with you that these odds are a little bit too heavily favored in Silva, and the people are reading into that record too much. And it's a really tricky decision because, momentum, I echo what you said, but momentum is a big thing, and it is with Silva, but how much has she really, what is the level of competition that she's gone against? And I think also she has yet to face someone as durable as Araújo.
Yeah.
And
that's a big factor.
I'm going to go with Araújo, a decision win. I think she's too tough to put away. I think she kills the hype. And just like the comparisons with Neil Magny, I think decision goes that way. And I think the hype train's done. I did have a decision win for Silva, but then I got to thinking like she's probably going to try and hit Araújo with everything she's got. And I think she might actually gas out. Yeah, I think she might gas out, and then in this, Araújo is gonna take advantage and win by decision. Maybe split decision, but probably I'm gonna lean 29-28 across the board.
Yeah, I can also see those parallels between Magny and Malot playing out. I'm gonna go the exact same as you, decision Araújo. Yeah.
Cool. So we both got a decision win there for Araújo. Next at welterweight, we've got Randy Brown versus Muslim Salikhov. Randy Brown is 17-5-0. He's 4-1 in his last 5. Muslim is 19-4-0, 2-3 in his last 5. Brown favorite at -230. Muslim an underdog at +190. Brown is very, very tall. And I'll start this one off because for me, this one is a little bit easier to call, I feel. Brown's a lot taller. I think it's going to be very difficult for Muslim to get on the inside and to find his distance and his range. And that's going to be the story of this fight. And I think Brown wins this one by decision. I think this is one of the easier ones to call for me.
Yeah. I have it playing out the same. I think Brown has enough to get a TKO in the second or third. But man, he's just been so impressive. I'm like, I didn't know too much about Brown, to be honest, before researching for this episode. But I'm like, what a welcome addition to the main card. Yeah.
Listen, there's a lot of these fighters that slowly make their name up. I mean, even if you draw parallels, I'm not saying Brown's the next Dirkus, but if you look at Dirkus, like, people weren't talking too much about him until the Whittaker fight. And if you didn't know him, you wouldn't really, I mean, he's fighting on undercards the whole time, pretty much. So you wouldn't really put that much attention on him. And there's a lot of fighters like that just slowly make it up the ranks and just go about their business. And you are right, Brown is one of them. I agree with you 100%. This is, I don't know, it's going to be tough for him to finish, but I think we both are in agreement he's going to win. You're saying TKO?
TKO. Second round.
Second round. Okay, I'm going decision on this one. Next at lightweight, we've got Renato Moicano, number 13 ranked, versus Drew Dober, number 15 ranked. Moicano is a favorite at -142, slight favorite. Drew Dober is a +120 underdog. Moicano 17-5-1, 3-2 in his last 5. Those losses came against RDA and Khizriev, so those were tough losses. Drew Dober 27-12-0, 1 no contest, 4-1 in his last 5. Jack, you can kick it off again if you like. What are you making of this fight, and what are the keys to victory for each?
First, I hope that we disagree, but just because you've been agreeing to it. But I'm gonna go Drew Dober. I think he is a bit
giving
of a gatekeeper and a
journeyman. Giving away your finish at the beginning. Build some anticipation. Tell us why. And then tell us.
Yes. Okay. So my reasoning is Moicano. He's good. He's very skilled. I think that his keys to victory is to keep it standing. I think keep it on the outside, maintain his range. I think his game plan is to keep it standing. Like, if he keeps him on the outside, maintains his range, I think that fight plays out really, really well for him. Drew Dober, I think he closes the distance. And I think if he pushes the pace and moves forward, I think that works out really well for him. And with his experience and also his like journeyman career, I think that he has the ability to do that, and to know that that's kind of the game plan that he should be going for. But what do you think?
I tend to think Moicano is actually going to search for the sub. I don't think he wants to stand with Dober. Dober's going to be hunting for that KO. That's what he's been doing the last little while, and I don't think Moicano would be wise to do that. He's going to definitely be hunting for that sub. He wants it on the ground, and if he does win, because this is really, I mean, it could go either way. If he does win, it will be by sub, I feel, Moicano. But I am going to go with Dober because Dober has some good defensive wrestling, good counter wrestling. I feel good enough to keep it standing where he wants it, because he knows he struggles with submission game, with someone's got a tight submission game. So he wants to just put the people's lights out. And I think he's going to be hunting with that. He's got crazy, crazy power. He's got a journeyman career, but he's had a nice resurgence in the last while. has Dober.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 4-1 in his last 5, so I think the momentum is with Dober. I think his confidence is sky high, and I think he's, you have to start the fight standing. So yeah, I think Dober keeps it standing. I think he hunts for that knockout, and he knows he struggles against submissions. So I think Dober, second round knockout, I'm going to say, is going to knock him out on the feet. And because it starts standing, you can't just shoot from anywhere. It's going to be quite tough, and Dober knows that Moicano wants to go for the submission. So I think they've, with his defensive wrestling, he's going to train it even more. He gets the finish. What's your method of victory for Dober?
I think I've also got TKO. I know because he's got one of the records. I remember his last fight being super surprised. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's just at lightweight or in the whole UFC.
It's at lightweight. Yeah, he's got 9, and I think Dustin's got 8.
I think I'm gonna go TKO or KO second round. So I think exactly the same as you. But
okay, so we both got second round KO.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we've got the main event. At middleweight, we've got Roman Dolidze versus Nassourdine Imavov. This is Dolidze number 8 ranked, Imavov number 11 ranked. It's Dolidze is a plus 140 underdog. Imavov is a minus 166 favorite. Dolidze 12-2-0, 4-1 in his last 5. His only loss to Vettori, which a lot of people thought he actually could have gone in his way. Imavov 12-4-0, 3-1 with 1 no contest in his last 5. He did lose to Strickland as well. That's his last loss. I'll start this one off. So, like I say, Dolidze arguably won that fight against Vettori. And actually, they both looked very good. Not just Dolidze, but they both look good in their losses. Because even in the Strickland fight, Imavov, he just got overwhelmed. But his cardio was still really, really good. I mean, he was still going for it against Strickland, even though he lost that fight. He's a good grappler. That's what he's always been, Imavov. But more recently, his striking's become very slick, and his volume and his output is really, really good. He's become very, very technical as well, in his striking particularly. The problem with Dolidze is he's very low volume for me, and his cardio lacks a little bit, whereas Imavov has really good cardio, and I think that's going to be the difference in this fight. Dolidze, again, he lost to Vettori and arguably shouldn't have lost that, but I think just because Imavov has the cardio, I think he takes this one. He'll put the pressure on, and he's going to have more volume, and I think he wins by decision in this one. I think he goes all 5 rounds.
Okay, interesting. I like your analysis. I'm gonna go to Dolidze. So my thinking behind that is, I don't see the I don't see his fitness as that much of an issue. I think he does have a gas tank, but I also think that he's maybe got more weapons. I haven't really noticed the volume, but now that you mention it, I do see what you mean, that it is quite low volume. I still think that he can get it done. He maybe has more power than Imavov, and just like that, his last couple fights have just been very impressed with him in general. But it is a very tough card for me to call. To be honest, it's like between those two, it's very. I'm not sure. It could really go either way.
No, I agree with you 100%. How do you have Dolidze winning?
I'm going to say TKO late in the 3rd. Yeah. So I don't think Imavov's going to, like, the cardio does affect your chin as well. And I don't think it's going to be easy to, get to him and close the distance. But I think that towards the end, when they're both quite, tired, that might favor Dolidze more. Might not look it, but in terms of reaching his chin.
Hey, well, look, if Dolidze wins, I mean, he could call for a rematch with Vettori. I think that would probably be a logical move. I don't think any of these two are sort of in that title contention. I think they're 1 or 2 fights away because the middleweight division is so stacked. Whoever wins this fight, I think, should call for a Khamzat fight, honestly. I think everybody should be calling for a Khamzat fight, like Jared Cannonier did this weekend, or basically this past weekend. I think if you get that fight and you put him away, you are right there, because the UFC is so behind pushing him. And I think the winner of this fight should really call for that Khamzat fight. And I think both of these guys actually have a good chance, maybe more Dolidze actually, of putting Khamzat away. Not necessarily finishing him, but just beating him in a 5-round fight, beating him easily. Not eaten, take that out. In a 5-round fight, beating him. So...
Yeah, I could see both of them. I think the size to me would be the biggest factor. We haven't really seen Khamzat at middleweight properly. I don't know. Yeah, have you seen those photos of Kamaru Usman at welterweight and middleweight? They look like the same photo. So, yeah.
No, I mean, Khamzat hasn't fought a proper middleweight yet, so that makes sense. I'd love for Cannonier to get that fight, to be honest with you, because the style. So Cannonier's style, I still always thought would pose the toughest test for Dricus, just because of the grappling. But for Khamzat, it's exactly the same, because Khamzat's got that grappling style. He's good on his feet, but he's more focused on grappling. And I think Cannonier, just because of the sheer size, is going to really, really cause problems for Khamzat. Mind you, remember, Khamzat's only really fought having to cut down to welterweight as well previously. So who knows, maybe now with the time, like he's settled at middleweight, that he might actually be filling back into size. Because he used to wrestle at like 205 or something like that when he was doing wrestling. So, I mean, he can fill out to proper middleweight size. So it'll be interesting. But I want him and Cannonier. That's a good fight.
Yeah, I do like that fight. I don't know, Brendan Allen's also someone in the middleweight that I just want to see booked. I don't know to who. Maybe
I think
Vettori,
Brendan Allen though is going to call out. I think Brendan Allen's been. I think Dricus kind of lives in his head rent free, because any opportunity he gets, he calls for that. But I think Brendan Allen actually, to be honest with you, I think Brendan Allen needs to have a title eliminator if he wins his next fight.
Yeah, he's been on such a good day. That Paul Craig fight, won me over.
And Kamaru Usman needs to get chucked in that mix too. But I think him and Khamzat need to have a rematch, like proper middleweight Usman versus proper middleweight Khamzat. However, did you know, or did you see the rumor that there's going to be new weight classes?
What?
Apparently,
I didn't see this.
Apparently the 170-pound division's going. So they reckon now, they said the rumor is that UFC 300, Chandler McGregor is going to be 165 pounds for the title. So you can have 155 pounds, 165 pounds. 170 is gone. They're going to make a 175 pound title, and then a 185 pound stays. I don't know if there's going to be a 195, probably not. But they're introducing a 165 and a 175. And McGregor, Chandler's for the title.
That is very interesting. Wow. Do you think Conor deserves a straight title shot?
Doesn't matter really, especially now more than ever. So like people that I know that have gotten close to the UFC and maybe like in the sort of in the inner workings of the UFC, it's a corporate like any other corporate. It's a big company that needs to make money. They've got shareholders. So for them, they don't really, so for the casual fan, they obviously know McGregor. They probably know that he fell off as well, particularly with him making a documentary wanting to have the greatest comeback in sports history, according to him. So for him fighting for a title, that will make people tune in. If you just have him fighting, people will be like, oh no, but he's fallen off, why would we watch? So they might not do the effort of looking at between his last fight where he broke his leg and this fight and thinking like, doing the effort of looking to see if he actually beat people to get a title shot. So I think that's what they're looking for. They're looking for the money. And then they also have Conor have that chance of it's the greatest comeback ever. They can market that for next fights. They must have a plan of people that they can put in there, because guys like Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, and those guys, they're going to stay at 155, because Dana White's previously not wanted a 165-pound division because he says it dilutes 170 and 155. So I think he's going to put a couple of people for Conor. He's going to line up a couple of people for Conor that he thinks Conor can beat fairly easily. And if they beat Conor, then they're the man in casuals' eyes. So I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. I do kind of like it. I mean, it's not like there's no shortage of talent in lightweight and welterweight. So maybe.
Rafael dos Anjos, imagine that.
Yeah.
Perfect for him. Look, Brave Combat Federation in Bahrain, or the Bahrain organization, Brave Combat Federation's done it very successfully. their champion actually, his name's Aldarov. He's his only loss is to Khabib, but he's done a really, really good job. I actually made a short about it. I'll link it down, which I was saying they should call. I was hoping that they did a 165-pound division in, damn man, almost like a year and a bit ago. It's December 2022. So it's interesting that they're doing it. It's just, I just don't know what happens with 170 now, because does Leon Edwards automatically become the champion at 175? Or does he now have to fight for the title at 175? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, and does he not get to choose between 165 or 175? I would probably say, yeah, I don't know, that's strange. I think, yeah, that's so strange, because then you're the 170 pound champion. I think that you'd have to do a title fight and regain champion.
But who's he going to fight now? But that's interesting. If you're in the 170-pound division, they're probably going to want you to commit to one of the divisions. But that's like perfect, because at 170 you could realistically, no, maybe you couldn't. Oh, you couldn't go up to 185, but 175 is good, and 165 is good. So you could be a two-weight world champion if you wanted to be, and you could easily go between the divisions and defend those belts. So I like the 175 pound, maybe. Kind of it's going to take some getting used to, but the 165 pound, it's a bit of an odd one. But I like that they're doing 10 pound weight differences, because the jump from 155 to 170 is big, and then 170 to 85 is big, 205 is massive, and then 265 is even bigger. So hopefully in the future they're going to have 10 pounds. I don't want it to be like boxing where it's like 5 pounds, whatever it is. Just stay. 10 pounds is probably the best.
Yeah. I would really love to see a cruiserweight, like a 235. I think that would be great. Stipe at 235 would be, you could have Stipe versus like Alex Pereira. That would be a really interesting one there. Yeah,
that would be great. Yeah, but until that announcement gets made, we're still sticking. There's still the 150-pound division, 170-pound division, 185-pound division staying as it is. Let us know who you guys think is going to win this weekend. Don't forget to like the video, comment, and share far and wide. If you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. And we will see you guys next week for another episode. Cheers, everybody.